Manchester City at the weekend doesn't get much bigger than this in the Barclays Premier League. Let's start. We've got Gaz, Jonathan and Squawker Dave on Skype with us. Gaz, how big is this game? How important is this game, both in the league and psychologically?
Well, even if we were bottom of the table with nothing to play for and City were top of the table when well away, this game would still be massively important. It's the Manchester derby. Absolutely huge game. But it obviously makes it more important now City are actually good and are 2 points ahead of us in the league. One win and we go top at a key moment as well in the season. We're coming up to December. It's an absolutely massive game.
Dave, go on.
Well, I think it's absolutely massive. You know, you look at United's record against the top six last year, head-to-head. They were top of that mini-league with 18 points. This season, we started off pretty well as well, won 6 out of the possible 9, ranked first again. We need to keep this going. We need to keep beating the top teams around us and then do jobs on the little teams, and then you're going to win the league there. And that's a trend that we need to continue, beating the big teams and then trying to do the weaker teams that come to United and City, find a way to break them down.
Okay. Jonathan, how important do you think this result is psychologically to the players? Will it push people on? Will the team that wins win the league? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but I think even if we win on Sunday, I can't see us sustaining it the whole season and winning the league. No, sure. That does sound pessimistic, I know, but
I think it sounds realistic.
It is fairly pessimistic. But in terms of how important it is, as a Manchester-based boy, born and bred, and obviously having a few pals that are Blues, it's integral that we win just to avoid the dogs abuse that I get via text if we lose.
Makes sense. All right, Gaz, both teams played in Europe this week, but City got the advantage of staying in Manchester. How much of an effect do you think will travelling to Moscow have on the squad?
I always find this really weird. I mean, they don't really need to adjust their body clocks at all. I know that it's a long time travelling. It's an 8-hour flight, but can United not just buy a massive jet with beds instead of seats? Like, just sort it out, you know what I mean? But obviously it does have an effect on the players. And, you know, anyone will know who's ever been on a flight in their life. When you've got off an 8-hour flight, you're absolutely knackered. But hopefully, you know, they've had a day off before the flight. Hopefully they can just get themselves ready mentally and physically for the game. But it will have a big effect. And it's pretty unfortunate that the game against Moscow away has fallen between Everton and City.
Yeah, good point. Squawker Dave.
Well, it was a massive, massive trip, obviously. 1,601 miles from Manchester to Moscow.
Dave, not just football stats, geographical stats.
Exactly. I thought I'd bring that up, Sam. I thought you'd love that. But anyway, it was a dodgy synthetic pitch at Moscow, you know, plastic integrated into the turf because of the low temperatures out there, which is a bit more difficult to sort of run on and do your short sprints on. It takes a lot more out of you, but we should be all right. The professional players, the second half performance was a hell of a lot better than the first half. Good thing about Man United as well in that game is they were controlling the ball, so they weren't working like Arsenal were working against Bayern Munich, really, really hard off the ball. They controlled it, so certain players got rest at certain times. So I think they should be absolutely fine for the derby.
Jonathan, do you agree? No excuses?
Yeah, no excuses. I think unless the boys have been out on the Russian vodka last night after the game, which, given the result, I don't think they probably have. Yeah, I think they should be fine. No jet lag.
I think it's Van Gaal we've got to be worried about with that. No one else.
Okay, right. Jonathan, tell us your team. Who would you start if you were Louis Van Gaal against City?
Against City, I'd have to say you'd have to go with the same team that played against Everton. Purely for consistency. I mean, the only one I would even consider swapping is Rooney, because for me, he's just not doing enough at the moment. But aside from that, he's not going to drop Rooney, so it'll have to be the same team as against Everton.
Okay. Dave, do you agree?
You see, I'm going to go throw out some players, puddle in some players. I think we've got to take the last Man City game at home as an example of how to beat Man City. So my team, David De Gea in goal, Darmian, Jones, Smalling and Blind as the back four. That's our best back four. Rojo looked a little bit dodgy against Moscow. He was exposed on a number of times by their right-back Fernandes, who had a very good first half. Going to have Morgan Schneiderlin holding in midfield. He did an absolute job on Ross Barkley against Everton, so I want to consistently have him in there. Man United looked a lot better in the second half against CSKA Moscow with Marouane Fellaini and Ander Herrera in central midfield with the sort of Schneiderlin sitting and those two ahead. And I think we should do that again. We've played the similar formation against Man City in the home game last year, and it worked brilliantly. Marouane Fellaini had one of his best games in a Man United shirt, was involved in 12 aerial duels and won 75% of them, was involved in 3 tackles, 2 interceptions. He put in a really combative display, and I think that this is a game for Marouane Fellaini. Get physical with Yaya Toure, get physical with the rest of their central midfielders and try to bully them. Anyway, moving on to my front three, another change I'm going to go for here. I'm going to have Ashley Young at left midfield. Again, against Man City at home, he was fantastic. Scored a goal, got 2 assists, won 100% of his tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 clearance and a block. A brilliant, brilliant performance from Ashley Young. Still going to keep Anthony Martial in there. I'd like to see him up front. I'd like to see Wayne Rooney dropped. Hasn't got the movement that Martial has. Hasn't got the ability on the ball. Martial, in fact, since joining Man United, has completed 16 take-ons. Only Santi Cazorla, Mahrez and Alexis Sanchez have completed more in the Premier League in that period. So he's showing his ability on the ball, running direct at Man City with, you've got Otamendi, potentially with an injured Company coming in. That's what we've got to do.
That was so many stats.
Dave's going to get so much abuse because he's starting Ashley Young and Fellaini.
All those stats.
Before the last derby last year, though, everyone was slagging off Ashley Young and Fellaini. And I was saying they've had good seasons, and then they both had quite a good game. Fellaini got a goal.
I think what it is, Gaz, is that the defensive ability of those 2 players outweighs what Martial could do on the left wing, what Memphis could do at left wing in terms of Ashley Young. And then Fellaini, the physicality in central midfield and the outball. Talking about those 12 aerial duels, that was an outball that was found from our defence when City were pressing us high up the pitch. We need that in the game, somewhere where our tiki-taka football doesn't work. We need to go direct.
It's all about the best team, not the best players.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. Go on.
Oh.
No, go on. Jonathan?
Oh, you're breaking up there a bit, boys.
What were you going to say?
No, I was about to interject regarding Martial's defensive abilities. I was about to say, Martial, that boy can do anything. I think he could be a Ballon d'Or winning defender if he wanted to be.
Huge prediction. I liked it.
I'm a little bit biased.
It doesn't show. Right, let's talk about Manchester City as much as we don't want to. Dave, you can tell us who will cause us problems. Who are the people we've got to watch out for? The obvious person seems to be Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the man I'm going to talk about. Kevin De Bruyne has been fantastic since joining Man City. In 9 games, he scored 5 goals and got 4 assists. His link up with Raheem Sterling is pretty dangerous. Raheem Sterling likes to run from deep. Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best players at playing a through ball in world football. Really got to watch about that running. Schneiderlin needs to be switched on in terms of either tracking Sterling running through or getting onto Kevin De Bruyne early. Fantastic in wide areas as well. That boy can cross. His delivery is reminiscent of David Beckham. It's that good. So we need to get tight to him. Darmian needs to be very aggressive in his defensive duty. We've also got to watch Kolarov on the overlap. And for me, they're the 2 danger men, De Bruyne and Kolarov. If we handle them, we handle Man City.
Gaz, anyone else?
We've got to watch out for the world-class talent that is absolutely nothing like Antonio Valencia, that is Jesus Navas. He is City's Valencia, isn't he? And he actually did have a good game, according to some City fans that I spoke to, in the Champions League this week. So, yeah, he's obviously a pacey player, but he's no good. But, yeah, the players that we've actually got to worry for, obviously De Bruyne, obviously Sterling for the reason that Dave's mentioned, but also Boney up front, depending on what back 4 we play. If for some reason Blint comes back as a centre-half, which I don't think he will do, then Boney may just drift onto Blint and cause us some issues. But we were saying the same thing about Lukaku ahead of the Everton game, and Jones played, and Smalling and Jones dealt with him perfectly.
Okay, Jonathan, anybody you'd like to add?
Did the boys mention Mr. Toure there, did they? I presume Yaya will be playing.
Yaya sat somewhere furious.
Yeah, he's sat somewhere eating a piece of cake, isn't he? Yeah, Yaya, he's one of those players, isn't he? When he fancies it, he's world class, and I've got a feeling he might fancy it on Sunday. There's been a bit of paper talk about him, so
yeah.
He'll be in. I think he's probably looking to put himself in the shop window as well. I think he does probably want to move deep down because City aren't a massive club, as we all know. So yeah, Mr. Toure.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Now you go first. Score prediction.
Score prediction: United 2-1.
Okay, Gaz?
3-2, thriller to United.
Oh, that'll be exciting. Dave?
4-2 United. I'm going to go on the same result as last year.
Well, Dave will be right. He's got all the stats. And then I'm going to be different. I'll say 1-0. It'll be a Chris Smalling header from a corner, and it'll come a bit off his face. Right, thank you guys for joining us. Everybody else, get your comments in below. Let us know what you think about the trip to Mexico, Moscow. Will that make a difference? Will Wayne Rooney play? Do you want him to play and everything else? Get it in there. Stir up the debate. It'll be nice. See you later.
He had a difficult game in Moscow, but I definitely think he's going to play.
Yeah.
It's going to be Smalling and Jones, because I think that they'll play Boney up front, and we're definitely not going to play Daley Blind in that defence, just in case Boney drifts on to Daley Blind.